Day 10 is here, and the title for day 10 is What Makes God Smile. Rick Warren does a fabulous job of breaking down the story of Noah and really demonstrating how Noah loved God completely. And because he loved God completely, he trusted God completely. And he was able to do some difficult things, things that didn't make sense. And he did it because he trusted God. I encounter many situations in my life, and I come up against many obstacles, and I feel God leading me in a certain direction, and I question it, and I want it to make sense. So really just being reminded of Noah's story and really digging deep into Noah's story and his complete faith and trust in God. I don't know the right words for me to say, but it, I guess, corrected me and just reminded me, I do things, okay, well, I will feel like the Lord wants me to do this, but it doesn't make sense to me. Therefore, I won't do it because I want it to make sense. So I guess Noah's story just reminded me that I have to trust God in the process, even when it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to me. Because he's got the big picture in mind, and he knows exactly what he's doing and why he wants to do it and when he wants to do it. So I need to trust him. And I need to trust him completely, like not just a little bit, not with the parts that I think he can handle, because the fact of the matter is he handles everything. There's no problem or situation I have or I face that he's not handling. It's just a matter of me taking my hands off of it and really trusting that God is who he says he is, and trusting him for the big things, the impossible things, the unbelievable things in my life. And it really makes me think about the lady. I've told this story before. I'm sure I wrote about it on the blog. I talked about it on the podcast, but I haven't talked about it on the YouTube channel. So I went to a conference, and a lady was there, and she was selling makeup, and they wanted all the vendors to go around and introduce themselves, just kind of say what they were selling. Okay, so the lady is there to sell makeup, but she starts talking about her story and about how she was sexually abused, and the makeup company that she works for offers a free retreat for women who are adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And she's talking about this retreat, and she's talking about how it's completely free. To me, that was a very bold announcement to make in a room full of women when you are there to sell makeup. You're not there to share your story or talk about how you were abused and how you got this free help. What she didn't know is that I was really struggling with my childhood sexual abuse at that time. I was like grinding my teeth. I was just in a bad place. I was in a bad place with it and trying to figure it out in my mind and what I needed to do and who I could even talk to. At that point I had been in therapy, I don't know, let's say for like 3 or 4 years. I hadn't even talked about it with my therapist. That's how bottled up and restrained and like, I'll never tell I was about that. But when she gave her story, she didn't call it a testimony, but when she shared that information and she shared the name of the retreat, I immediately got in my car after the conference was over and all of that. I never said anything to the lady, never spoke to her. But I got in my car and I Googled it. And I found a website, and what she said was like true. But still, I was like, is it true? I really didn't know if I could believe it or if I could trust it. And let me say this too. The lady was a black lady, and she was talking about how quite often women of color don't get the help they need in that area. They don't have the resources. So that was just like mind-boggling to me. So, okay, I Google a retreat. All I see is people that don't look like me. And the retreat At that time, I'm not sure if they had the second location yet, but at that time, you had to go to Utah to attend this retreat. 4 days. You can go for free. You just have to provide your transportation there and back. They take care of your room. They take care of your food. Everything is paid for, right? But I'm like, do I really trust this? So I go on the website, I apply, because at that point I'm desperate. I'm like teeter-tottering, emotions all over the place, but I'm applying. Long story short, I get in, and I get to the retreat. It's a longer story about how I got into the retreat, but it's a longer story about my transportation to the retreat, right? Because I had to fly to Utah. Whole different testimony. But what I'm saying is, I get to the retreat and it was exactly what I needed. I got 4 days to really unpack, unload, and I got some practical tools, right? I felt safe because I didn't know these people. These people didn't know me, so I felt safe to share my truth. And from that retreat, I did gain a connection and a network with other women whose stories weren't mine, but they were similar to mine. And of course, I was the only woman of color at the retreat, but it was such a blessing. I forgot to tell you the name of the retreat. It's changed. When I attended it, it was called the Haven Retreat, and it was a safe haven for me. But now they've rebranded and they've changed to Saprea. I'm going to put the information in the description box. So if you are a woman who has survived childhood sexual abuse and you need to break free, you need some tools to work through that. The retreat didn't heal me, but it definitely gave me a starting point and a safe community to share my trauma with. So the name of the retreat is Saprea now. When I looked today at the website, because I wasn't quite sure of the website, I saw that they have added a healing webinar. So if you're unable, now they have 2 locations for sure now, one in Utah and one in Georgia. So you just have to get yourself to the retreat and then back home from the retreat, and everything else is taken care of. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I mean, if you want to reach out and ask questions, feel free. Typically, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to get off. As a Black woman, the thought of going to Utah that is full of people that don't look like me was a scary thought. But the thing that was even scarier for me was remaining in the place that I was in. It was a dangerous place. It was a not safe place. And I'm talking about mentally. And so I was willing to do something way out of the box. I was willing to trust God completely in that area because I was desperate. And I want to be able to trust God completely even when I'm not desperate, even when He tells me to make a video. If it's uncomfortable, I want to push through that because I trust Him completely. And I know that He has a plan for me. I don't know specifically what the plan is, but I know that there's purpose behind that. My prayer, what makes God smile? Me trusting Him completely, me loving Him completely, and me doing whatever He asks me to do without question, without hesitation. So the information for Saprea is in the description box. I remembered to do it. Trusting me. I remembered to do it. So day 9 was good for me. It was a reminder to trust God completely with every part of my life. Every story I have, every testimony I have is only for His glory. And so, again, if you have not picked up Purpose Driven Life, you should. I think it's a great jumping point and a great starting off point to get you to fall into who God wants you to be, who He created you to be, what He has planned for you guys. So day 9 was good. Thanks for being patient with this longer video and my rambling. And I'm trusting God to do whatever He needs to do. Y'all have a good day.